Yeah, well, I think we've all experienced some changes, and that's what this training. Molly isn't able to be here today, but she wanted her preferred vendors, escrow and title, Sara Gallegos with Open Escrow, and myself, Ryan Lipsey, with Haley Collier from Tycor Title, to just go over, what it is, what escrow and title do, the functions that we serve. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to go over and put a little twist on it of some preparations, some pivots that we've made in our industries to ensure the viability and closings of transactions, and how we've reached a new normal where we're back up at full capacity, able to record normally, still having people review, and how you go about closing a deal in the coronavirus. So, Sara, how does what are some of the? Let's start with you on how some of the shifts that you had to make in escrow and interfacing with the customers, and like how do you take a whole escrow business and go virtual with it?
Well, my team has been working on being green now for a couple years, which has actually helped us transition into this pretty well. Challenges that we are seeing is that getting sellers to sign paperwork and sign with notaries. That's been a challenge, trying to find help in places. And also I feel like everything's just a little bit slower than we're used to. We're used to being able to crank really high, and I think that everything's slowed down just a little bit as far as all the different pieces and how long it takes for them to process. And a lot of teams are running on smaller capacity, and so things take a little bit longer. So those are some challenges that I'm seeing with escrow. We do a lot of, like I said, we do a lot of e-signings and mobile notaries, and I always give all my clients my cell phone number, whether it's a buyer, seller, lender, agent. So that's helpful. And this kind of meeting where we can still see each other and talk face to face, even if a client can't come into the office, it's been different, but good.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I hear you. Yeah. Definitely some new ways to, like, how do you go about running down a demand or a superior court finding or judgment or things like that? Interfacing with those institutions must be, there's got to be some lag involved, huh?
Absolutely. Like I said, things are taking a lot longer to process. Lenders are longer, demands are longer. They're definitely with their full 5 to 7 business days for demands rather than like 24 hours. IRS, child support, we're talking a few weeks for those. So,
I think the good news
as a whole, it's not as quick as it used to be.
And it's, I guess the win or the silver lining is it's not costing you the ability to close deals. It's just adding a little bit more time involved, right? Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Right. So I think it's important for everybody just to kind of know to, be patient. It's not on escrow or title. There's a lot of things right now in these transactions are very much out of our hands with the timing process because courts are closed. There's very minimal employees in those county buildings running those demands. And so, it's been very interesting on our side too, to see the slowdown with getting that kind of stuff. But we have workarounds that, right? Like title we can hold funds, we can still close and make sure we're waiting on an updated demand from, payoff services. So we still have ways of closing those transactions.
Yeah. And I mean, the good thing is we're working together, and we're coming up with creative solutions on deal by deal. Almost you have to find, well, how are we going to get around this, or here's a new obstacle, or so we're definitely have our thinking caps on at Open Escrow and Tycor Title anyway. I've never seen our underwriting team get so creative. But why don't we take a minute just for the benefit of those in the training, and we are recording this and we are live on Facebook. Sara, go over like the top 5 functions of escrow, or if you had 5 things or maybe 10 or whatever it is that you would have your agent absolutely know about what escrow does and the functions of escrow, what would those be?
I would say, like, number one, we are neutral third party, right? So we don't side with anyone, we side with everyone, basically. Our functions are to make sure that everything agents and their clients have agreed upon comes together, and that the contract is met. We definitely handle all of the funds, paying everyone, making sure that all of the agents get paid, the lenders get paid, the vendors get paid, the payoffs get made, and helping to work with our title companies to ensure that clear title gets transferred to our new buyers and that everything is paid off properly.
Cool. And then I know, Haley, you wanted to go over how we still have warm live bodies in the title unit and some of the things, and you were on the title desk for years. Why don't you go over the 5 things that our agents and our customers need to know about title?
I'll just ramble them off. I don't know if it's quite 5. It might be a little more or less, but so to know about title, for all of us watching, title is definitely a breakdown. So it's ensuring your buyers free and clear title from any judgments or any overlying clouds on title from the previous seller. So that's why it's important that your buyers get title insurance. It's protection on both sides of the transaction. But what we've done at Tycor to make kind of this virtual new COVID-19 world work is we do have somebody still in office who is who is scanning the documents into the county recorders virtually. So they are still receiving the documentation. We do have somebody still physically in the office who is reviewing all the documentation going into the county, provided that everything is on there as a notary, the information is correct. So we still do have those essential workers in our offices, making sure those deals are still getting done exactly the same way they would have been. Obviously a lot of our workers are working remotely, but we are still answering the phone calls. We're still taking questions for our agents. We're allowing them to talk to the title officer still directly on any things that arise on the prelim. So the communication is still flawless. It is still seamless. It's there. But yeah, so title insurance, we receive the documentation from Sara over at ESCROW, and we review it. We make sure that the documentation, the grant deed is correct, the deed of trust is correct, it's matching what the lenders say that it's on their title instructions. And then title is we're the last actual person in the transaction to review the documentation, receive the funds from the lender to pay off the previous payoffs and any other kind of liens on there. And then we are able to close the transaction, scan it to the county, and then we get that, you guys' favorite email back from the county, that confirmation email that has the stamp on it that says we are confirmed. And then you get a call from your lovely title and escrow people saying, congratulations, we are confirmed. So that's kind of how the flow has been broken down. Not too much has changed regarding the process of making sure it still gets recorded on time. So I think that's really cool. We're still making sure everything is going through seamlessly to the county. But there has been a little slowdown, but we've seen transactions closing at 6 in the morning. We're getting, those 8 a.m. confirmations super early. And then we're also getting closings all the way till 7:30, sometimes at night. So there has been a shift with
Well,
the county.
I can tell you, I mean, look, let not your heart be troubled. Of the 3 people on this call, we closed over 1,000 transactions in quarantine. I can guarantee that. So deals are still closing. The bumps in the road might take a little bit longer, so take a deep breath. And what I tell my customers all the time, and I know Haley and Sara will agree, is like, look, yes, you need to know some of the vocabulary. You need to know that escrow is a neutral third party that handles the money and the documents. You need to know that title has to have a clear slate and a clean title to hand over to the incoming buyer. But what you really need to know is our cell phones, because we are your team. We have your back. By far the hardest part in real estate is procuring the deal and dragging it into a contract that is mutually agreed upon terms. Once you hand it over to Sara and us, we want you to feel free to go out and get the next one, because we have your back. We're making sure the title is looked at and you're aware of any red flags. you know that your team at Open Escrow is working feverishly with our people at Tycor, Candy and her team in the title unit to clear those items up. And that peace of mind is what we want most of all for you, so that you can pick up the phone or go door knocking or go visiting divorce attorneys or chatting with your sphere of influence. Sorry, I have garbage trucks today. Real life. But so that you can feel free to go procure new business because the ones you have are solid. Does that make sense? I mean, that's the main message for me. Like, it's important to have a working knowledge of what title does and escrow does, but it's more important to have a badass team like us of ninjas that take care of it, so you can go out and sell and get the next contract. Does that resonate with you guys at all?
100%. I agree 100%. I think you have to have that team. You have to be able to pick up your cell phone. You have to be able to know that you can hand off the transaction in your clients, and that go look for that more business and know that they're going to be taken care of still during all of this, you know?
Yeah. You know, and buyers especially, but sellers and buyers and investors and 1031 exchangers, and you know, selling a property, even for the savviest of investors, there's still emotion that gets involved. It still can be a little tricky. And those are the people that we're accustomed to doing hand-holding with. And I've been doing it 20 years. Sarah's been doing it a good long time with tons of experience and expert level escrow. So you got good people, you know, and you've got to have that, whether it's us or another team or what have you. We're not here to just sell our wares, you know, but we are among some of the best, if not the best. But if not us, then make your team somebody you can go to sleep at night knowing that they're going to drag that sucker through the finish line and get you paid. That's really what it's about. So is anybody on the call? I see several people on the call here. Do you want to type in a question? I just want to invite you to do that into the chat, or remove yourself from mute and feel free to ask away. Cool. So what else can we do? Haley, any other thoughts on title or anything?
Yeah, I think it's important, you know, when you're going through the transaction, Sarah can, I think, contest to this, to make sure we get statement of information. So make sure that you're having your sellers fill out the information that comes with the escrow package or the preliminary report that states their name, previous addresses, social security number, driver's license. So we can make sure if it's a common name, we can clear out the liens on the preliminary report and make sure that report's clear. You know, we have child support liens that come up that title and escrow work together on to make sure we get those taken off preliminary reports and satisfied, so we can ensure that new buyer coming in, that those will not be around on the property. So yeah, that title definitely helps ensure those kind of mishaps or things that come up from previous sellers or from the seller.
What about the easy steps, Sarah? Like, I have a deposit I need to put in a certain time frame according to the contract into escrow. Do I mail that? Can I drop it off? Do I wear a mask? Like, what's protocol these days?
So yeah, our protocol is a little bit different when it comes to dropping things off and dropping off checks. We are really secure with all of our wire instructions, and we require basically clients to call us prior to sending in their funds for their protection for wiring in. And I would say 98% of people are wiring their funds in. Very select few still want to come and hand that check in. If they're coming into our Mission Valley office, our escrow team down there is not really comfortable with having people physically come in. So we do actually have a slot where they can kind of hand things through and get their receipt. So that's a little bit different. If they're coming into Temecula, we do have the, you know, masks that we ask everybody to wear and come in, and we still have a skeleton crew in our Temecula office working for those clients that are coming in, and all of our paperwork coming in.
And then if I'm a buyer and I'm setting up a time to sign my loan docs, all the notaries, they have protocols in place so they can feel safe and nothing's going to be passed along through the notary. What does that process look like?
That process is actually, our sellers are having that a lot as well. Like I mentioned earlier, They're having a hard time. They can't just go down to their bank or go down to the local postal annex and have things notarized. So we are really relying on our strong team of local mobile notaries. I know a lot of them are wearing masks, wearing gloves, not even sharing pens, doing a lot of signing outside, keeping their social distance while they're signing the paperwork, just making sure that they're following all the protocols to keep everybody safe.
Cool. So we can close deals in quarantine. That's awesome. I know. Yeah.
It's exciting.
So, and for solars, I know solar has grown to be like the bane of our existence in the escrow and title world. What makes solar so tough? Is it because it's non-assumable? Is it our solar companies in and out of business so fast? Getting demands is tough. Like, what's the big challenge with solar?
I'm finding a lot of delays with solar in that I think that people don't get the process. Solar companies have a very specific process in how they will be releasing documents. They have a very specific process on how they'll be doing transfer documents. So I think that the delay is really somebody not signing something. It's not easy to get a hold of that one person at the solar company that you have been emailing back and forth with. Like our clients can pick up the phone and call us and say, hey, what's going on? We have a harder time getting to the people that we need to talk to that are actually pushing the button to get us what we need. So yes, solar, they can be challenging, absolutely. I'm actually finding solar companies are starting to require upfront fees from the sellers, much like an HOA, before they'll send the transfer docs, which is very new.
Well, I mean, that's just one where the more lead time they can give us, the better, right? So when you're securing a listing on solar, get us that social, and you can text it or you can private message. You don't have to email it where it's susceptible to theft and all that, you know. And solar, you know, if there's a solar on your upcoming listing, note this, you know, to listing agents everywhere, let your escrow and title provider know so they can start the groundwork, because the more lead time, the better, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Well, let me check the chat here, and anybody can chime in anytime with questions. I know it's not always the most appealing choice, but anybody, what's a big win that you've had, or like something over one obstacle in your career or last week or whatever that you never thought you'd get through, and then you found a way through and found a solution? Give us a story of one of those, Sarah.
Oh, you were talking to me.
Or Haley, you want to jump in on this one?
Let's see here. So should I do like a title related one?
Yeah. But maybe the guy that had a kid but didn't have a kid, or thought he didn't have a kid, or.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think there's new people on this call. So for like title issues that come up, you know, we get a lot of liens. If a name is similar, that will come up on there, especially being in San Diego. So we had one come up and it was a child support lien. And typically from a child support lien does not go away unless there is a release of lien recorded on it. So their liens, child support liens can stay on there as long until that lien is satisfied or there's something recorded on it. So there was a child support lien from 1989 that came up on this preliminary report. The gentleman, he was selling his home, he was married, he was buying a new home with his wife, and he had called and said, used some pretty profound words and was like, this is not my child, like, I do not know what this is not me, how can you guys even get this information, this is ridiculous. And so I had to explain, well, sorry, sir, these are recorded documents. So anything that is recorded is public information. So anybody can pull these kind of documents, and it's the name matches up to you. So I just requested social security number and the information so I could see what matches up on the lien. And sure enough, I get that information back, and the social security number and his driver's license number match up exactly of what's on the lien and what was on his statement of information. So sure enough, it ended up being his child. child, and he did have a child support lien that he had to pay for. I had to call him and tell him, if this isn't you, you can call child support services. They'll be able to handle it. You can take care of it this way. There would be a mistake, but sure enough, we ended up getting a demand for that to be paid off. And so that was an interesting one. So those do come up. So
that
it's
might have been a
important
tough conversation at home.
you know,
Talk about closing conditions.
oh yeah, I'm sure.
Well, and
Yeah,
the way
I'm
we
sure
do
there was a
that,
very tough conversation with that.
that ties in. Yeah, I'm sure. I wouldn't want to have that combo. The way that ties into being relevant in title is that we use the Social Security to match up the judgment or the lien to our seller to make sure that it's our seller or our incoming buyer, their stuff. Like, because if it's not the same social, then we don't have to deal with it. We just can take it right off the prelim. And that's where having that ahead of time really can help us avoid, the quagmires and pitfalls of title and escrow issues. So, well,
right, and I was gonna say real quick.
I was gonna check live and see if we have questions there too. So go ahead.
We have a lot of agents who have kind of worked that into right after they get their listing agreement signed. That's kind of their next step, is they've already worked it into their process, is to make sure to get that information, just so we do get ahead of the curve. So we are ahead of the process for if a buyer does come, we kind of know what we're dealing with already. So it's important, and we do have agents that have already worked it in. So feel free to ask us. We have a blank PDF of it, and we can send you the statement of information. Sarah, I'm sure, has one of those too. So email us or text us, so you can always have that on hand.
Cool. I think I'm trying to access the comments, but there we go. Oh, we're the best. Thank you. Thumbs up. Championship. All right. Well, people really like us on the Facebook Live. So thank you guys.
No question.
We definitely want to serve as a resource for you. And I know that, especially for the analytics in our audience out there, that you want to know everything and you want to feel, a lot of us can't feel really safe moving forward unless we have a real deep understanding. And I respect that and understand that. And some of us just need to know that the box is checked and we can keep on moving, right? Either way, Haley and I, and we have two more, we have Shelby and Katie that are available for questions. And Sara and her whole team, I can tell you, are a pleasure to work with. There's no such thing as stupid questions. Just bring it, let's tackle it, let's shine a big bright light on it, and we'll both leave with a greater understanding. That's what we bring to the table for you as a resource, and it's a conversation. And I think it's safe to say, Sara, you're open to receive those calls anytime, right?
Always. I love questions. I love when agents lean on me for advice, or, asking how to do something, or when they do call and say, I have a stupid question, but no stupid questions. If you are curious, we need to figure out the answer, and I am happy to help. I love it.
Right on. So, well, anybody that has any executed contracts out there, that's the first step, is sending that to Sara, and then she'll order the title, and away we go. And look, we've got flow charts, we've got flyers on a step-by-step title process, step-by-step escrow process. We're happy to have conversations or hop on a Zoom with you anytime. So I just want to let everybody know that we're grateful to be the custodians of Big Block and the settlement services. We're super stoked to be part of the team here. So definitely take advantage. Send us your direct messages, send us your texts, your phone calls, whatever, carrier pigeons, smoke signals, however you want to ask us questions, we are here. So I think we can only beat that dead horse so much. Anybody else have anything to add before we tune out?
I just want to say thank you. I mean, I know it's crazy out there. It's weird when you actually do get to leave your house, and just even going to the grocery store, getting gas. It's just so strange right now, and people are so disconnected, but I'm really thankful for the people who do support us. And I do feel very connected with everybody, even though we're not close together, and everybody who's trusting us and Tiger Title to close your escrows. And I am just so thankful for the business, and you guys have a lot of choices, and when you choose us, it's humbling. Thank you.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, for Sara Gallegos and Haley Collier, I'm Ryan Lipsey, and we're tuning out and zooming out, and anything you need, we're here for you guys. Thank you so much.